Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer and Sides, back to the brewery editions. Today, joining me in the Toronto area is Peter from People's Pint.
Hi.
Thanks for hosting us today. Truly appreciate it. I see you brought us some tasty beers, so what are we starting with?
Well, thanks for coming by. Starting with our English Golden Ale. It's called Goldie Boat. I think there's a can of it. We just started to can it.
Okay.
It's a pretty easy drinking beer. It's about 5%. Made with English yeast, English malt, and strangely Michigan-grown hops. But
Beautiful malty smell. All right, long distance toast.
cheers.
As you can see, we are socially distancing because we are in a time of COVID, and we want to remain respectful of each other's space.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
I always forget about it because it's kind of innocuous. Like it's kind of a, if we don't have our flagship lager in stock, people buy this.
This is super smooth.
Thanks. Yeah. Try to showcase the
It's
Maris Otter.
like 5%.
Yep.
Yeah. Super crushable.
Yeah. And just a little bit of floral hop to it. Strangely, that amounts to Cascade and Willamette.
Wonderful taste. I mean, I'm destroying it, so.
Yeah, good.
Wow.
I'm glad you like it.
This is very tasty. I always enjoy a good ale or lager. Whenever I go to a new place, I usually try and get one of their base beers, because then if you could get that flavor profile right, then you should be able to expand upon the rest.
Should be able to, yeah.
Very tasty beer. Thank you very much. So what's the beer story? What created People's Pint?
So several years ago, I think 2014 or 2015, actually, I would go back even a little bit further. I think 2012, 2013, there was a small group called Brauhaus.
Okay.
That included my current partner, Doug Appledorn. Brauhaus, their mission was to show people that homebrewers can make really cool stuff, unique things.
Okay, cool.
So those events were very small, very private, 5 or 6 brewers each, and 10 beers at these events. They were all ticketed. They were all very small and private. Doug wanted to take it further. The rest of his partners in Brauhaus were kind of busy with their lives, so they left it to him. So he started a new sort of collective like that, but on a bigger scale. He called it People's Pint.
Mm-hmm.
The first event of People's Pint was at the Gladstone, and I think it was 2015.
Okay.
We had at least 10, maybe 15 brewers, and every one of them brought 1 or 2 beers to the table. And it was open to the public. We got around a little loophole by calling it a club.
Oh, or a co-op would be another, maybe?
We called it a club. So you bought a membership to the club and went to an event, like a meeting at
Very
the club.
cool.
Yeah. The next events, we did a little more, I think, legally by getting the homebrewers to come to breweries like this. This was Junction Craft Brewing at the time.
Okay.
They've since expanded down the road. So we would come to a brewery like this, set up in this space, basically, brew our beers under their excise license, and have a public event where we didn't have to say it's a club or anything like that. Right.
Very interesting. It's almost like contract, but not contract.
Pretty much contract.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we did a few of those. They were pretty successful. And, at the time I was in IT, and I was getting a little tired of what I was doing. And, just the thoughts, just like every home brewer.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if I could do this professionally, And Doug was sort of going through the same thing. And so we thought, let's try to open a brewery. Like how hard could it be?
Yeah. That's funny because a lot of guys like yourselves are tech backgrounds or engineers and stuff. So it's kind of just like shifted from technological to delicious beer. So.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of technological here too. That's for sure. So, so we noticed that Junction Craft was leaving this space, and I asked Tom, one of the owners, what are you guys doing with this? And he said, well, we were kind of thinking about you guys. So it was a little weird like that. I guess it was meant to be.
Sounds like it.
And in any case, we negotiated with the landlord to take over their lease, and that was in 2018 when we opened the doors here in March of 2018.
Very cool.
We got the keys in the January, so it was a really quick ramp up.
Yeah.
This is already a brewery, so it kind of helped that way. But that's it. That's People's Pint.
Awesome. That's a fantastic story. I like the idea of like, hey, let's get together. It's almost like a home brewers association, kind of just getting together and just expanding upon that. And
so that kind of that caused a little bit of confusion at the beginning. Some people came here saying, "Oh, is this a U?" They thought it was a U brew.
Okay.
Right. Really, we're showcasing home brewer stuff. And then some people would thought, "Oh, all the different beers are made by different home brewers."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it was just me making all the beers. What we did is there's a really great homebrew club in Toronto. It's called GTA Brews. GTA Brews is, I think, the biggest homebrew club in Canada. And so I've always been a part of that club in some capacity. And so is Doug. And we work with them to bring in a brewer at least once a month.
Awesome.
Brew a 10-gallon batch of beer and put it on tap so that they could say, hey, everybody, try my beer. It's at this place that you could taste it at. So that was our big, sort of nod to the roots that we came from, and also just to the creativity of home brewers.
Fantastic. Sounds like things, kind of went smooth, but what were some problems, roadblocks, difficulties you ran into creating the People's Pints?
Well, like I mentioned, there was some confusion about, is this a U brew or not? We would get a call like at least once a week. Can I come and make a beer? And it's like, no. Well, maybe. And then, so like the location is not the greatest location here. Our business plan really banked on the fact that everybody was going to come here and buy beer, and we wouldn't have to sell to licensees. We quickly learned that we needed to sell to licensees. So we shifted gears and we did that. And, by the time the pandemic shutdown came in March, we were rolling pretty good. Like, we got a really great sales rep, and, we made some pretty great inroads. One of our beers, Mango Fett, a lactose IPA, it became pretty popular with the licensees. I was making 8 hectoliters every 2 weeks just to fill all the licensees, just of that beer. And then, of course, things went the way they did.
Yeah.
Another little stumbling block was that we just kept making different brands. And I've been saying this for the last 2 years. We have too many brands.
Okay.
And anytime you want to shut down a brand, somebody comes out of the woodwork. No, don't, So, they're kind of like your babies too, right?
Yeah.
You
It looks like you have a pretty solid lineup, especially on the board behind us.
Yeah.
And I've had a friend has come by and brought your beers back to Montreal before. So we did a beer tasting. We had the Mango Fett, the Gosé Cuervo. I'm pretty sure I butchered the name of that.
Gosé Cuervo.
Gosé Cuervo. We had a few of your beers. I'm like, man, I got to get it to Toronto at some point. And then the world shut down. So
yeah. Well, here you are now.
Yeah, exactly. So what's beer number 2 I'm going to be trying here?
That is that is one of our brands that is an exclusive to our friends at the Alpine restaurant, which is just on Dundas in our neighborhood, the Junction here. It's called Alpine Dunkel, so it's a Dunkel lager.
Ooh.
About 5%, 5.2%.
Perfect, because it's around that Oktoberfest time too.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
nice. Ooh, is that caramel notes I'm getting? Very nice.
Yeah, so Dunkel, this is one of my favorite styles, and I would say this is one of my favorite beers that I brew here. It's easy anytime.
Toast. Oh yeah, that's the caramel notes are just dancing on my palate.
And it's a beer style that you don't see a lot.
No.
It's malt focused instead of hop focused.
I'm a fan of malts. Like it's your base of beer. It's what you need to create beer. So.
Yeah. So I love that one a lot.
It's very tasty. Like I said, the caramel is just like very straightforward. It's very well balanced, super clean. I have nothing bad to say about this beer.
Cool.
So it's another, I'm guessing 4.5%.
It's 5.2.
Okay.
Yeah, I chose that one over our flagship lager, Helles Island.
Okay.
Which is a German Helles, because it just feels like a Dunkel kind of day, right?
Yeah,
It's nice and crisp out. It's fall. I mean, it looks like fall.
It's got that Marzen look to it.
Yeah.
Delicious, very tasty beer. Thank you very much. So, People's Pint, where'd you guys come up with that? Because you guys were getting together, creating just to kind of flowed from that.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, our origins are in a sort of homebrewer collective and a homebrewer showcase sort of roots, and so we took on this motto: beer by the people for the people, or maybe it's for the people by the people. It's written on the wall. Yeah. Shortly after we incorporated, trademarked the name. Actually, we must have looked before, but there's a place called People's Pint Brew Pub in Massachusetts.
Okay, yeah.
Outside of Boston. We talked to them. They said we're not looking to do anything in Canada.
Yeah.
And we said we're not looking to do anything in the States. So we're friends,
Yeah.
and I don't think that really had any problem for us. But just the imagery is, we've had some people scathingly call us communists. I don't know.
Is it because of the star with the
of course.
Oh.
And I mean that's just it's imagery.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself a communist.
We live in Canada. I mean, it's kind of rare.
Yeah. In fact, I kind of try to stay as apolitical as I can, especially in terms of talking about the brewery and things like that. Our philosophy is to be inclusive, right? So that still holds true with, for the people. Yep. So if you're a person, you're welcome here.
Yeah. Plus, you mentioned pre-show, like being inclusive. You're brewing the Black is Beautiful. You did it with a beer Instagrammer who we previously interviewed, T.Drinks, also known as Edward. So it's there in the name. It's, come on down. You're people, I'm people. We're all people who drink beer. Let's be people together.
Yeah,
so,
that's it. That's it.
That's great. That's a great perspective to have on top of that. It's just, I've yet to meet a bad brewer. I'm worried I'm going to catch one day. So, but all you guys have been awesome. So I have no complaints about any of this so far. And I do love socializing with you guys, talking about your product because you're all very passionate about it, which is very important.
I hope so.
Yeah. The passion just comes behind the taste too. So it's fantastic. Names and labels, Mango Fett, obviously, especially now with kind of Mandalorian, you're getting a little bit of that spillover. Gosé Cuervo, Hell's Lagers. Where do those names come from?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are really terrible beer puns. I've always loved science and science fiction. I'm not really a big Star Wars fan, but Doug, my partner, is a huge Star Wars fan.
Ah.
He came up with Mango Fett. That was originally, we used to call that a milkshake IPA. It used to actually have mango in it.
Okay.
But we found a hop combination that presented that beautiful fruitiness. It still has the lactose. So we just call it a NEPA with lactose.
Awesome.
And still waiting for Disney to knock on the door or send a letter, We have noticed recently, I think they're in Arizona, somewhere in the States, somebody named a beer called Mango Fett.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah.
They'll probably get the letter before we would.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be 200-300 million different beers out there.
Yeah.
Names are bound to be the same at some point.
No, you think of a name, you look on Untappd, and there's like 10 that are named that. Right. Now, one that I really love is, and it is close to my heart, pun intended, I guess, is Time Lord.
Okay.
And so if you know what a Time Lord is, then you might know that they have two hearts. Mm-hmm. This goes back to a show called Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So if you're a nerd and you like Doctor Who, you might get that. There's another reference in there, and that is that is my tribute to Bell's Two Hearted.
Okay, cool.
So Bell's Two Hearted is a legendary IPA made in Kalamazoo, Michigan by Bell's. Mm-hmm. And, called Two Hearted. We were thinking, what do we call this beer that is our tribute to Two Hearted, and Doug says to me, "Well, Time Lords have two hearts."
Very cool.
And it was just like, yes,
That's awesome.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm only 40 seasons behind, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. The label designs, where did you guys come up with that stuff?
Most of them are Doug's designs. He's done a lot of graphic design work. He's a video editor, by his own career.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a little bit, but I was more of a programmer myself. So, sometimes I'll give him an idea and he'll go with it. But in the early days, all the labels looked really different, and you could sort of see that we're in a transition phase where we're starting to standardize what the labels look like. And so that was something that Doug really did a good job on, I think, coming up with a unified sort of look to the labels.
Cool. Are you shifting completely from bottles to cans, or are you going to have both in the lineup?
That's a really hard question to answer. And no, I would say no, not completely.
Mm-hmm.
There's a strange thing in Ontario, maybe, and that is that people are willing to pay more for bottles.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why.
I think it's a mindset.
Yeah. Bottles do cost more to produce, and that's why we charge more for them. We noticed we went to can on one brand, and people stopped buying it. And then we went back to bottles, and people started buying it again. So we're kind of letting the market dictate it for us.
They're all selling though, and that's what matters, right? So
yeah, some people come and they say, "What do you have in cans?" And that's what they buy.
It's also your mindset. Like, I'm going to the beach. I need cans.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
Certainly, we noticed anybody who was, coming here on the weekend, like, right when we opened, they were destined to go to a park. They bought cans.
Yeah.
They didn't buy bottles.
Yeah. So. You're not far from Lake Ontario on top of that when you think about it. So
yeah,
it's just, you have your designated driver, bring everybody here, you buy your cans, and you head to the beach.
Yeah,
so,
sure. Yeah.
Very awesome. Yeah, I like the combination of both personally. I'm more of my stout should be in a bottle, but to me, beer's beer in the end. I don't think my palate's refined enough to taste the difference. I'm sure there is from the aluminum to the bottle, but
I don't think there's a difference. I think the difference is we're not big enough to have our own canning line. Mm-hmm. We don't have the space.
Yeah.
Right. So we bring in mobile canning services. We love them. They do a great job, and the biggest important thing is that they introduce very little to no dissolved oxygen into our beer when they package it. Okay, so we do our own bottling, and in the beginning, we introduced a lot of dissolved oxygen into our beer. We have since refined our process, and so a beer like Replicant Haze, which is what we've got next.
Yep.
Which is our regular New England IPA, no lactose. We were finding bottles were going gray, that ugly, gross, oxidized. And we don't want anybody to have that.
No.
But we developed a system using a home brewer tool called a beer gun, a Blickman beer gun, to really make sure that we purge these bottles and get the beer in there safely and in a great way. Yeah. That didn't stop us from canning Replicant Haze, though, because
I like the convenience of both. I'm guilty of being at the LCBO and being like, "Ooh, a can! Oh, a bottle of this." I can't picture myself like the guys from Nickelbrook, the Bastard series they do. I can't picture that ever being in cans for some reason.
Yeah.
But maybe I've kind of been brainwashed into thinking that. So.
Well, similarly, what was it? Like a traditional European brewery went from bottles to cans, and it just looked wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, Saison DuPont, for example.
Yes.
But if you saw a can of that, what would you think?
Yeah,
right?
I know. It'd be weird. I think Chimay, too, it'd be like, whoa, what is this label?
Yeah,
so
right.
What's going on here?
Then again, a brewery like Burdock, they've successfully can-conditioned Saisons, and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't really have the guts to do it, I think, right now. But, cans are... ultimately, they are better in every way than bottles.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't look as cool. And I know some people have a problem with the label on the can kind of thing. We used to use sleeves, but they're way
Yeah.
too expensive.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have just way more flexibility doing labels. So
Yeah,
These are weird
I don't get the
semantics.
complaints. It all melts and it's recycled. Like all of it's recyclable, which is great. It's not as if, but it's my understanding too is recycling the aluminum is actually cheaper than cleaning the bottles or there's something wrong. There's
Reusing the
imperfections,
bottles.
so you got to smash it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned the Resistance. That's the next one.
Replicant Haze.
Replicant Haze.
So that's another nerdy reference.
Love that
yeah.
smell.
Replicant, referring to the androids and Blade Runner.
Yeah.
So this beer, I think, you know, Doug piloted it, and he said, "Hey, can we make this in bigger quantities?" And I'm like, "Well, do you mind a lower margin because of the amount of hops that it takes to make a beer like this?" I believe the story was that he had a. You were just at Third Moon. What's the other one?
We just came from Third Moon. I believe you mentioned
Badlands.
Yeah.
Badlands. So he had a Badlands IPA, and he wanted to replicate it.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, that's pretty original. Yeah, this is super tasty. I can't. The Dunkel though. I mean, maybe because it's fall and it's the season for the Dunkel, but this is fantastic beer.
Yeah, I think IPA always is sort of like either you're in a pizza parlor or it's summer.
Yeah.
You know, until you get into like the big stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
There's always an exception.
So you mentioned you used to homebrew. What was your first ever homebrew?
My first ever homebrew? That's a pretty cool story, actually. My wife wanted to sort of bring home a new hobby. Mm-hmm. So she saw this Brooklyn brew shop kit at a place downtown, and she bought it. She brought it home. So I'm like, well, I don't want to screw it up. And I read a bunch of stuff about brewing and got really into it. We brewed that beer. It turned out pretty good.
Nice.
It was everyday IPA. So like an English style IPA. And the next beer that we made, we designed the recipe ourselves. No extract, all grain right from the beginning. And I basically fell in love with making beer.
Very cool.
Right there. I've always loved cooking, but craft beer was something that we had been into for at least 2 or 3 years at the time. And just to be able to make your own, it was like mind blowing. So have that control, that power, it was great.
And your first People's Pint brew, what was that?
That was Chinook of the North. That's an APA that I had been making. I had developed that recipe over like the course of the previous year or two. That's one of the beers that we stopped making.
It's a fantastic name, though. I love that. Chinook in the North.
It was made with Chinook hops, of course. And, you know, it was like my version of Sierra Nevada Pale. But I guess it was just not exciting enough for people, or maybe the marketing wasn't right.
Yeah, the beer geeks can be kind of finicky, I find. So
yeah, and I mean, I don't think we don't like. I think that our identity is really consistency and reliability. It's taken a couple of years for me to realize that, but just talking to the customers, seeing what they buy, that's where we're at. And strangely, that beer would have fit that mold very well, but didn't really.
That's unfortunate.
Didn't really make it.
So you did a collab. Obviously, Black is Beautiful will be out by the time this episode is out. What other collabs have you done?
So, you know, the Black is Beautiful is coming out. I think they're right here. We have a collab with Ren. That's our third collab with beer diversity, or Ren Navarro.
Yep.
She always wants to do something with hops. So, you know, I think this time we did an APA and dry hopped it with like Galaxy and some other New World stuff.
Well, she did say when I interviewed her, she's like, this is a body built by beer. I'm like, that is so good. So,
yeah. So aside from that, I've done, we get coffee. There's a coffee roaster. Actually, there are 4 coffee roasters on this strip
in this
here.
junction, yeah.
The first one that we worked with, we're still working with. It's Alternative Grounds. we brew a beer called Parka Weather. So it's a oatmeal stout with it's about 5.7%. We add dark Congo coffee and a little bit of vanilla.
Sounds delicious.
It is. It's really good. I love it. It's going to be in. Have you heard of Nita?
Yes, Nita beer
in Ottawa.
Yeah, they're in Ottawa.
So they do these mix packs for Christmas, like Advent calendar kind of thing.
Okay.
And they, they asked us again to participate in that. So we're gonna throw Parka Weather into the mix for that.
All right.
And in cans.
I'm gonna have to head to Ottawa for their Advent calendar.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in cans.
Yeah,
that's what they wanted.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Because honestly, for myself, the can goes into a glass at home.
You know what Andy Nita said to me. He's like, well, if you don't want to do cans, you could do like a bottle that's about the size of a can. I'm like, okay, I guess we'd have to get some stubbies for that.
You're going to have to develop specialized glassware and stuff.
Yeah, no, we'll just can it.
Yeah, the simplicity. Any dream clouds? You mentioned there's another People's Pint. You ever thought, when the world opens up again, let's go brew with those guys? And...
Yeah, so, I used to homebrew with Jeff Manole at Muddy York. Mm-hmm. And Muddy York is, I would say, tragically, the most underrated brewery, possibly in Ontario. Everything they brew is just perfect, top notch. You need to check them out. And so right before we opened, Jeff said, well, we got to do a collab. We never got to that point. So I would really love to, Jeff, if you're listening, let's do it. But yeah, we've, some of the best collabs that we've done are with Matt Doomering, who just opened Reverence Barrel Works in Cambridge.
Okay.
He's pushed me to do mixed fermentation stuff because that's his jam.
Yeah.
Barrels, Brett, Funk.
Almost like Small Pony.
Yeah, almost exactly. I mean, he's all barrels. Mm-hmm. I think he does a lager. For everybody else.
Lager.
It's Vike. It's I don't know, Hornindal or something like that. I don't know. It's good. It tastes great. Yeah. Just don't tell me what you fermented it with.
So, but you do have like collabs, obviously during collabs you want to do, which is great. It's not like you said, you're beer for the people. So let's get together with other people and brew those beers and get them out there. So.
I've never really thought about it that way. Actually, who would I love to collab? I really, again, I want to get that collab with Muddy York done for sure. But there's time.
I'll stay online. I'll look at your keep busy on your Instagram and all that stuff. And myself and my showrunners will be going about getting your beers. Speaking of, what's number 4 I'm going to be trying?
Okay. So this is Gosé Cuervo. Another pun, another terrible pun. This is our tequila lime sour. So it's brewed like a goza.
Yep.
Or a gosé.
Yeah, you get the lime and a faint bit of tequila on the nose, I'm finding. Not overpowering in any way.
Yeah. It's like a margarita.
Yeah, this is great summer beer.
I've had people say it's too sour. It's not sour enough. It's this, it's that. It's, you know what? It is what it is. Oh, and last year it won a gold medal in German sour beer at the CBAs. So. Cheers to that.
Yeah. Speaking of collabs, or I guess donations, the brewery cat.
Oh, yeah.
Maris.
Yeah. I guess she's long gone.
She's right there. She's actually sleeping right behind you.
Well, she's my buddy, isn't she?
So let's hear about the SPC of that.
Yeah. So, we had a pretty bad mouse problem here, as I'm sure most breweries do. I was just on Facebook and I saw a post. It was an Ottawa area brewery. I think it was Beyond the Pale. I'm not 100%.
They have a pretty big location.
Yeah. And they make great beer too. Yeah. In any case, they were talking about this new cat that they had in their brewery. And so I reached out to them and I said, what's up with this program? They sent me a link to the OSPCA site. I filled out a form. And about 2 months later, they called me and said, we have a cat for you. Can you come out to Stouffville and get this cat? So Doug went out and got it. And it was Maris. And Maris was really not friendly when she got here. Basically, the OSPCA, they take these cats from compromised situation. Most of them are feral, and they deem them not adoptable to a family because they might not integrate with people very
Slice
well.
up kid or something. That's the last thing you need.
So they target, places like wineries and breweries that have rodent problems and could support a cat to take care of that. So that's exactly what we did. She came here, I think it was in April last year, and they're really great at telling you how to set it up for success. So you got a big dog crate. You probably saw it on your way to the bathroom back there, and you set it up with their little cage, their food, and their litter box, and you leave them there for, they say, 2 to 4 weeks. We thought, okay, 4 weeks is probably right.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and then we let her out. And to our amazement, she was very personable. And I guess that sort of conditioning time gets them used to all the noises, the smells, the craziness, but of course I was like nervous. Like, I have a cat at home. We don't let her out, right?
Yeah.
Like, letting a cat out and go crazy in the wild is just a weird thing to me. Not only that, but our tap room, in the before time, was a lot of babies, a lot of dogs.
Yeah.
And I thought, how is this going to work? She was great. Like,
That's awesome.
Just a little standoffish with some dogs.
Yeah, that's also the dog too sometimes. Like, I'm a dog person, but some dogs can be jerks. So.
She was mostly the jerk, I think. Like, this is her place, right? So she's like walking around like, oh, look at me. I'm, you're on a leash. I'm not. I get to go wherever I want.
Fantastic.
Like, it just seemed like she was taunting them all the time.
But I like that. And, it's in a sense, it's another type of collab type thing where you're getting together with the OSPCA and they're bringing you in the right line. Obviously, mice problem is a big thing with breweries. So killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because you're giving the cat a home and you're getting rid of your rodent problem.
That's right. They said, actually, you saved 2 cats.
Yeah.
Because you got Maris, and now she opened up a spot for the next cat to come in. So
very cool. Once it's safe to travel again, because I'm personally not going in a cylindrical tube with recycled air anytime soon. Once it's safe to travel again, any dream beercations you haven't been on that are in the plans?
So, like, I've never been to England. I've never been to Belgium. I've never been to Germany. Okay. I spent most of my travel time going to South America and Asia.
Okay.
Which are not yet.
Yeah.
Well,
Some
depends
places.
on where you
Yeah.
But so those are the big 3 right there.
So that kind of European section.
Yeah, England for the bitters and the milds. We make a mild here. That's a really rare style to find around. And Belgium for the lambic. And the Trappist beer.
I want to drink a monk so bad, because same hairstyle.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Sitting there and prost.
Yeah. And then, Germany, all the lagers and all the wheat beer. I would say that Hackershore Hefeweiss was pretty much my introduction to expanding my beer knowledge. I couldn't believe it was beer.
Getting past those BMCs. So,
those 3 for sure. But I have been to California, and if you've ever been there and tried to go to as many brewers as you can, you know that there's at least twice as many that you haven't been to. Plus, there's Russian River, which you need to go to every time you go there.
So what's the last beer I'm going to be trying?
Yes, this is so we make a beer called Serendipitous sour. You may have heard of Serendipity, maybe not.
The movie or
no? Do you know? There's a small
Emotion?
No. There's a small brewery in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Called New Glarus. That should be a travel destination for sure. They make a beer called Serendipity.
Yeah, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, so I have to go to Wisconsin.
You definitely have to go.
So.
Well, then you can't skip New Glarus. So I was making Gosé Cuervo, and it didn't quite go the way I needed it to.
Mm-hmm.
So I added fruit. And, I said, well, this is kind of like Serendipity by New Glarus. And so Doug said, well, why don't we call it Serendipitous, and we'll just do one every year, different fruits. So
Very cool.
this one is raspberry and coconut.
Okay, because I'm getting the coconut. I'm like, I know that other smell. I wasn't sure if it was coconut, but...
There is a weird thing I have noticed.
Whoa.
Yeah, people...
That is wild.
Yeah. So there's a strange thing. There are some people who taste ketchup when they taste this beer.
I don't have the best palate, but I don't get ketchup.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm kind of sort of understanding where that's coming from, though.
I'm getting the raspberry coconut balance. It's very well balanced, so it's not much of a... It's very good. It's the smell. I wasn't sure what it was. That's what was getting me, but the taste is fantastic.
I'm glad you like it. When the suggestion of raspberry came, I immediately... My wife and I love a show called MasterChef.
Okay.
Australia.
Oh.
Okay. The Australian version is really great, and of course they do a lot of Australian culinary stuff. And one of the things that they always go back to is called lamington. Lamington is a cake with jam and coconut. Oh. So I thought, this is our lamington.
Yeah, this is super tasty.
And if you've ever had a lamington, it kind of tastes like it.
So what's next for the People's Pint brand?
What's next? We are just fighting it out here. I don't know. It's really hard to say what's going on. But there's been a little bit of a shift. Earlier this summer, I brewed an Italian-style Pilsner. My parents are from Italy, so I thought, let's do a tribute to my parents. It sold like wildfire. So we've got a bunch more coming.
Fermenting right now.
Lagering.
Okay, yeah.
Lagering, yeah. It'll be canned in a couple weeks. So to me, like, my vision is that the craft beer industry is going to sort of lager, pilsner, lager. It's all the same.
Yeah.
And I love making lagers. So, it might be more and more lagers here.
Yeah. To me, there's nothing wrong with that, because the amount of effort, time, perfection a lager takes, if you get it out, you're set. So.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the summer, we couldn't keep Hellas Island in stock, so we had to contract a batch. And
wow.
Yeah, yeah, and still make it here.
Okay.
Now it seems like we're going to flip it to the Pilsner, which, not a problem.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just got my head down and I'm making beer.
Barreling straight forward like a rhino.
Yeah. I want to try to make some more high ABV beers, I think. Maybe some barley wine. If Komal is listening, listen, because maybe there's some barley wine coming. We'll see. And we want to get our home brewers back in and get their creativity going again, because nothing inspires me like seeing what those guys come up with.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I have no other questions for you at this time. Let the people know where they could find you when they're visiting Toronto, and on social media and all that stuff.
Sure, yeah. So it's People's Pint Brewing Company. We're at 90 Cawthra Avenue in the Junction, close to Keele and St. Clair. And People's Pint TO on social media, Instagram, Facebook. I don't think we're on Twitter. I don't even know if people use Twitter anymore.
Yeah, some people do.
Yeah.
Some very powerful people.
So. Oh, right. Yes. Forgot about that. Right on. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, no, I truly appreciate you having us today. Your beers are fantastic. I look forward to purchasing some on my way out. So I'll go from there. Everything will be in the show notes for everything you need to find online. As for us, you can find us allbeerinside.com, Adult Beer Inside everywhere else on all the social media. And as I say at the end of all episodes, drink craft, not crap.